Recently, I was asked on a radio show what I consider the greatest lie facing this generation. Now, there's probably a lot of things that could be said, but what hit me is the idea of freedom. You see, whenever I ask young people to define freedom, they'll inevitably say freedom is doing whatever you want to do as long as no one's stopping you from doing it. We live in a culture that praises autonomy as long as it feels good and you decide it for yourself, it's right. But you see, I don't think this is true freedom. I think freedom is having the capacity to do what you know is right. So let's take the issue of sexuality for a minute. Our culture says you're free if you can have sex with whoever you want to, whenever you want to. Don't follow God's rules, that will constrict freedom. Well, I don't think that's the case. In fact, in my book, Ethics, I actually document studies show that people who follow the biblical prescriptions for sex are actually the most free. Now you might think, that sounds crazy. How could somebody be more free who's following biblical commands? Well, let me give you an example. Recently, a friend of mine took his high school group to play paintball. And on the way back, he had a student who's probably 12 or 13 years old who decided to announce to the whole youth group that he loved paintball so much, the strategy wearing camo, that he wanted to be in war. Well, what he didn't know is one of the leaders in the group happened to have been a military veteran. And he turns to this kid, he goes, "Son, let me tell you something." And that means basically sit down and shut up. He says paintball's fun because you can play the game and there's no consequences. You can shoot your buddy, you can get shot yourself, you lose the game and you play again. There's no consequences. You're actually free to enjoy the game without fear. He said, but in war, it's not fun. You get shot in the arm, you lose your arm. You get shot in the leg, you lose your leg. You get shot in the chest, you might lose your life. You see, studies show that people who follow the biblical pattern for sex, which is one man and one woman in a committing, loving relationship for life, are more free. Why? Because you have no fear about pregnancy. You have no fear about sexually transmitted diseases. You have no fear about comparison with somebody else or being rejected. You're actually free to love and enjoy your partner for life. So don't buy the lie that freedom is doing whatever feels good and whatever you want to do. We are only truly free when we have the capacity to follow God's guidelines. That's what sets us free.